unless you can't sleep, in which case everything you've ever done plays on repeat. Sometimes I see my life as a totality of failures, but other times I wonder if I've been too much of a coward to even try when it's mattered the most. Little failure. My sourdough starter is dead. Its corpse is still in my fridge. I have failed to take care of the one life force that relies on me. Big failure. Actually, my favorite failure. Project Orion was a scrapped space exploration program led by the physicist Freeman Dyson. The Orion team was made up of scientists who helped build the bomb at Los Alamos but became disillusioned with making weapons. Quote, "There are 3 reasons why, quite apart from scientific considerations, mankind needs to travel to space. The first reason is garbage disposal. We need to transfer industrial processes into space so that the Earth may remain a green and pleasant place for our grandchildren to live in. The second reason is to escape material impoverishment. The resources of this planet are finite, and we shall not forego forever the abundance of solar energy and minerals and living space that are spread out all around us. The third reason is our spiritual need for an open frontier. The ultimate purpose of space travel is to bring to humanity not only scientific discoveries and an occasional spectacular show on television, but a real expansion of our spirit." Jupiter by 1970. Little failure. Still spelling disillusioned wrong on the 3rd try. Little failure. As a child, kicking and screaming at my father because I was too scared to go on a roller coaster. Once when I was 9 years old, I held up my whole family for an hour because I refused to get on the Staten Island ferry. I thought it would be much too scary. Not trusting any new experience because I was afraid it might harm or scare me in some way. What makes something fail? Is it failing to live up to a competitor? Orion was a competitor to Wernher von Braun's Saturn V super heavy lift launch vehicle, the chemical rocket that took Apollo 1 mission to the moon. Saturn V was propelled by refined petroleum, RP-1, and liquid hydrogen. Orion would have been propelled by 500 to 1,000 nuclear bombs launched every 2 to 4 seconds out of a gas gun, exploding behind a shock-absorbing pusher plate. It would fly beyond the stratosphere into the cosmos, propelled by weapons of mass destruction, sputtering and starting like an old car engine, leaving a trail of nuclear explosions in its wake. It would have so much force propulsion that the weight of what was on board wouldn't even matter. In the original plans, they wanted to put 3 fully operational barber's chairs on board. Little failure, the dark, sleeping with the lights on until you are 12. Little fear, the dark, sleeping with the lights on until you are 12. Big fear, space, the eternal dark. How could it be that a group of humans are willing to go to Jupiter in a giant iron spaceship, traveling through the cosmos at ridiculous speed, but I am too scared to scratch the giant red spot of acne on my shoulder when I take a shower? I asked 6 of my friends why people are afraid of space, and they gave me the same answer, and I felt stupid. It's unknown. My friend Jill said it's the ocean of the universe. I'm terrified. I've had panic attacks in planetariums and on planes, dread in bed at the realization that we're all just floating on a tiny rock. I can't look at the moon too long, and I definitely can't look up when I'm flying in an airplane, which is the closest that I'll ever get to space travel. Will we let the cowards join the space colony? The seasick, the flying fraidy cats, the brooding existentialists, the acrophobics? Will they be forced into a Boeing Z-420 spaceship, economy class, to farm space soybeans for the terrestrial bourgeoisie? What would Friedrich Engels think of all of this? My packing list for Jupiter: 300 bottles of whiskey, the gray hat that I always wear when I fly, 6 hits of galactic acid, a gumball machine full of NASA SSRIs, extra socks, and an astronaut cat. Little failure. I forgot to take out the trash last Thursday, and now it surrounds me, fumigating my apartment on the decomposing organic matter of banana peels and dead sourdough dreams. Boxes and styrofoam, pungents, lemon rinds and takeout containers. A half-drank gallon of orange juice is on the floor on its side. Big failure. Thinking we could just pack it up here on Earth and travel to another planet. I first realized that humanity is just an ant colony when I watched the movie Interstellar on my friend Rodman's couch. I had eaten half of a Chinese edible, we were in Shanghai, and the whole affair was terrifying to me. A friend once told me that planets were basically a renewable resource. And I was just left wondering if it was worth it to continue destroying the same thing over and over again. Consider for a second the end point of space colonization is what? Replicating humanity over and over at such a rate that it catches up to the rate of expansion of the universe, because I feel like that's intergalactically narcissistic. Little failure. Being afraid of what others think of you, not wearing your Ninja Turtle Halloween costume to school in the 4th grade. Little failure. Project Orion's munitions delivery system. Using 1950s technology, how do you get something to smoothly and in perfect timing, let's say a nuclear weapon, to deploy out of the back of a spaceship traveling at near light speed? You call up Coca-Cola and you have them design for you a giant version of what they use in their vending machines. And yet, I feel crazy for still being scared to fly in a little airplane with no onboard nuclear weapons. Big failure. After my parents' divorce and my dad moving far away, he decided to spend hours and hours getting his pilot's license without telling me. One day he came to New Jersey and picked me up. He told me that he had something cool to show me, and we drove to a small airstrip with a tiny little biplane one of his new friends from pilot school had let him borrow. We would be flying home to Vermont instead of driving the 7 hours. I was 10. I cried and I wailed. I sat down and tried to grip the flat, rough surface of the tarmac with my fingertips so I couldn't be picked up. Fear gripped me until I was hyperventilating. I told him I would never get on an airplane he was flying, even if he had 3 pilot's licenses, which would be a lot of pilot's licenses. But what if I wasn't so scared? What if I had said, "Rad, I'd love to fly on an airplane with you, Dad," and strap myself in and put the oversized headphones on my little peanut head? I would touch the horizon, myself a little astronaut. I would look up. What if my fear hadn't stopped me from trusting him? Big failure. My favorite moment in the history of Project Orion was when it was first publicly shown. They built this tiny little scale model, cute and perfect. The president was coming, and I imagine they were so happy to show it off to him. JFK arrives in the presidential motorcade, looks at it for 10 minutes, and declares that the last thing that humanity needs is a Project Orion. But President Kennedy didn't realize that Freeman Dyson had crunched all the numbers. Only 1/3 people would die for every one propulsion bomb they dropped inside the Earth's atmosphere. But in the present day, there's hope again for Project Orion, with the creation of the Space Force and the de facto overturning of the 1963 Partial Test Ban Treaty, a silly little treaty that says you can't test weapons of mass destruction in outer space. Orion could come back. Will we finally go to big and purple Jupiter with her own big red spot of acne? Will we expand beyond the frontiers of our own limits, the stars, moon, and Mars? And will we ever get over our own failures, both big and small, in our efforts to find new planets to live on? A fresh start, and with all of that said, I would like to be the first one to volunteer. It's like, never gonna do that shit.